Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to understand about the Terraform input variables. Input variables serve as a parameter for a Terraform module, allowing aspects of modules to be customized without altering the module's own source code and allowing modules to be shared between different configurations. So this is the high level benefit we are going to get when using the Terraform input variables. But if we see this in super detail, so it is going to be a super big concept. Okay, so let's start with what all we can do with Terraform input variables and then how, in what all ways we can use also. So we will start with learning input variable basics as part of this section, and then we'll move on to provide input variables when prompted during Terraform plan or apply. So we will look into that concept of input variables after basics are completed, and then we'll move on with implementing the concept of overriding default variable values using CLI argument -var for the Terraform plan or apply commands. Okay, and then we'll move on to override default variable values using environmental variables. So we will set the environmental variables, and then using those we will override the default variable values present inside the variables.tf. And then we'll move on to provide input variables using terraform.tfvar files. So here also you can override the default variables present in your variables.tf, and terraform.tfvars will auto load those things, okay, whenever you run the Terraform plan or apply. So this also we are going to see as part of one of the dedicated section. And then you will move on to provide input variables using any file name.tfvar file, and then you will provide the CLI argument for your Terraform plan or apply using -var -file. So using that argument you will run the plan or apply command with the var file you define with any name.tfvars. So this is separate section we'll deal and then understand in detail about this. And then we'll move on to the next section and then learn about provide input variables using auto.tfvar files. So when your input variables are defined in auto.tfvar files, so it is going to auto load when you run the plan and then apply commands. So you are going to see that. And then you will also going to learn about complex type constructors in input variables like lists and then maps, and then implement them practically and then test it. And then you will move on to implement custom validation rules in variables. Okay, so for the variables you will implement the custom validation rules. Finally, you will also ensure that enable the sensitive tag for your variables to see that how the protect sensitive input variables concepts is going to work for us. So how the Terraform is going to redact the sensitive variables when you make that as sensitive is equal to true. So all these sections we are going to learn step by step and then section by section. So if you go to your Visual Studio Code with v1 input variables, there is a set of templates and its equivalent documentation on the GitHub to learn that in a step-by-step manner. So in input variable basics, what you will do, it will be written in a detailed manner. In the same way, if you go to v2 input variables when assigned and then prompted, so for that also you will have the detailed templates available, and so step by step what you are going to implement also it will be there. So like this from v1 to v10, so you will master every angle of input variables for Terraform in a step-by-step manner. And then finally you will implement one file function and also learn about the precedence, okay, variable precedence. That is one thing which you will learn finally, Terraform variable definition precedence, and then close this section. Okay, so let's move on with the next lecture about starting with the Terraform input variable basics. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.